Welcome to Richard and Karl presents Deep Space and Dragons. Hi, I'm not Karl.
And I am not Richard. You can tell because I don't have a fiery passion.
Yeah, your gravitas is kind of like lacking. You're like, I just want to have Constitution and not spend all weekend vomiting. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm gonna get gravitas. Better skill point investment.
I just don't feel like engaging with your fiery stomachs.
Oof.
Acid.
Like, definitely not a fire dragonborn. Well, I do have fire resistance. I'm not a poison dragonborn. In retrospect, I'm pretty fire retardant.
I'm just subtly bugging you for your disdain for the new Fire Emblem Engage game.
Oh, thanks. While I'm at it, I might as well just tell you that most salads contain lettuce, and you've eaten countless amounts of lettuce over your life against your will.
But I don't eat.
Remember
salads.
that time you bit into a sandwich and there's just a piece of lettuce there?
Yeah, I didn't like that piece of lettuce.
Yeah, that's what you just did to me. Oh man!
But if we're talking about card games, like I actually did just recently purchase. Well, I like to design commander decks for Magic the Gathering.
Disclaimers: we're nerds on this podcast.
And so MTG Goldfish, they'll let you like print proxies. You just have to like cut them out and put them into sleeves with whatever.
Did I mention I have an unlimited printing budget at the campus? I just don't have the spare time to also start an MTG club and then print off industrial numbers of copies, and then use their industrial slicing supplies to then make perfect proxies. But I could.
But so I proxied and tested a deck that I call the Fight Stuff deck, where it's all about creatures that fight stuff and cards that benefit from fighting stuff, and then protecting your creatures that fight with other cards, and it's a lot of fun. And within my play group, it's quite effective, and I'm pretty excited because I ditched the proxies and I bought the actual cards. I'm just waiting for the last few to show up.
So I appreciate you using proxies for their like secondary intended purpose of testing things out. I mean, like Wizards of the Coast. Oh, Wizards of the Coast. I have mixed feelings on them. I mean, they did recently send a private mercenary company to require some early release product.
Yeah, I've been meaning to look up the Pinkertons and who they actually are, but apparently they are basically just like a brute enforcer company that...
So they literally... because this is how I picture this in my brain. So you're in the head office of Wizards of the Coast, which there's literally strings that lead to Hasbro's of the Coast because they're just populating them, right? And then, like, in the D&D one, they're like, okay, so... Turns out D&D players actually read the fine print and revolted. Alright, we've placated them, we've sent out fruit baskets. Our movie did okay, although we probably lost half our viewership numbers because we're evil. Yeah, okay, we had like a creator summit, we tried to like rebuild our brand image, cool. So does anyone have the book with our list of goons in it? Where's our goon directory? I need to order some goons. I'm just like, your problem is A, you have a goon directory, then you looked at the applicable goons, and then you deployed the goons to then thuggery somebody. And it's like, even if you're like legally in the right, because it's the whole if you buy stolen merchandise and the original owner is still entitled to their merchandise unless you're rich, it's a whole thing. But like, you said goons. You do realize we think you're evil right now, right? Like, sending goons is not a good strategy. Like, you should have sent yourselves to the door. Maybe with a couple goons. But you don't just send the goons. If I saw, like, a black van and a bunch of people get out in SWAT gear on my front lawn, I'd call 911. I would have called the cops on the goons for trespassing.
At this point, buying used cards doesn't necessarily directly support Wizards of the Coast. It more so supports the companies that... like Card Kingdom specifically.
I'm not throwing shade at Buying Magic. I'm just throwing shade at Wizards of the Coast for being Wizards of the Coast.
It's just like, I'm not really a fan of how Wizards of the Coast has been operating their business for the past while.
Goons! Literal goons! I cannot believe that this is a thing that happened.
But I'm still really excited to get the physical cards for the deck that I've been playtesting for a while.
It is funny. You can completely defeat Wizards of the Coast by only buying product that's at least 3 years old that's pre-opened and just never buy sealed product again. And there's enough Magic product that already exists in the world. You could effectively just never give them money and still have a very full Magic the Gathering experience.
I was a little bit sad though. There was one card in particular. I'm never very.
Was it everyone's favorite dinosaur, Godzilla? I just need it on this podcast that Godzilla is in fact a dinosaur. It's canon.
It was not Godzilla. It's a card called the Topiary Stomper.
Stompy sounds familiar.
He is a 4/4 for 3, I believe. He can't attack or block unless you control 7
Plant dinosaur.
Land. Yeah. But he fetches you a land when he comes into play. Like, puts it onto the battlefield, which is pretty cool. But when you're ordering 67 cards, right? And you're going through the Card Kingdom website.
You did order 2 more cards. Please continue. That joke will be funny in like 3 years.
Anyways, when you have the list of cards and you're going through, and it shows you all the different editions that you can attempt to order and what quality the card is that you're attempting to order. And I usually am just like, you can just find me the cheapest. Yeah. Which one time it found me a non-legal, like full art, like an art series card. And so then when it showed up, I was like, hey, I'm missing a card. And I was like, oh, no, this is actually just a useless full art, no text card. Gotcha.
Those are completely legal.
Well, no, it was from like the art series where it's like the one side is the art and then the back side is not a Magic card. It's like a signature from the artist.
What? Oh. They have one job, to put the Magic backing on their cards, and somehow they keep failing that, and I don't understand.
Plus, I mean, it's just kind of annoying when you're playing the game.
Oh, you just Sharpie its effect back on it because it's hilarious. You just take a pen on the full art card and write what it does, because that's just peak entertainment. Maybe some whiteout first.
But more to the point of the story, I did not. It wasn't one of those cards that I got. It was a legal card, but it was a alt art borderless variant, and I'm a little bit sad because almost all my other cards have borders, so it doesn't really fit with the rest of the deck. And then I actually like the original art better because the alt art is like this gross-looking Stegosaurus. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
It's like this rhino-y looking thing almost.
Yeah, a rhino-y looking thing. But the regular art is like a T-Rex stomping through the city.
You know what you could do?
Plant T-Rex.
So they got the bottom of the border right in the curves. I really think you could take a ruler and a black marker and actually just re-border it. And that would fix most of your problem.
That would fix most of my problem. I mean, the other part of my problem being that I like the plant dinosaur stomping through the city better.
Yeah, but I just really love the disrespect of unfull arting the card.
Disrespect.
Because, it's just black, so it's a straight color. I feel like it's not an impossible task to reborder it. I feel like you could find instructional YouTube videos on how to reborder your full art card.
I probably could, but I don't really care that much.
Oh, but it's fun.
Well, they're all in sleeves, and it's only one of the 99, so there's a pretty small chance that I'll even draw it in the next 15 games that I play with that deck.
So not only have you now cursed it that you will draw it every game, and it will be played every game. But when you finally realize I was right and manually border it, you'll never draw it again.
Maybe.
This is the way.
But I mean, that's all that's new with me for this recording. I don't know.
Fair enough. Nothing really new card game wise for me, because as you're aware, I'm some sort. So when marketing myself as an author, I'm a weird mix of creatures, because I'm both the underdog statistically, but also so easy to hate. Because, like, on one hand, I'm a broke orphan going his way through art school, returning to school after a decade away, trying to immortalize my words. But on the other hand, I'm also that guy who's like, I didn't get the grade I wanted, I only got an 89%, and only 4 of them were above 90, but you just want to punch.
Hmm.
And I just haven't quite hit the perfect balance of charming but I'm just punchable. I can't help it. It's in my nature.
Yeah, okay.
Because, like, what's new with me is I finished the term, I'm comically broke because I'm a student, and the school sends checks at the slowest speed known to man. It's like, you won a
Especially in
scholarship.
the summertime.
No, like, I won the scholarship check in January.
Oh.
Do you see the problem?
Yeah, it's April.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's May.
And I got a confirmation email last week that said it should be there within 3 weeks, because they're still physically mailing checks for some reason.
Well, okay. Segue. Is the Public Service Alliance strike affecting your college in any way?
No, it is not. I have a friend that went and toured all the strike sites because he was on strike, so he decided to use it as a way to tour his way around Ontario.
Huh.
So
Yeah,
he tried
okay.
to see as many of them as he could.
Hmm.
It's kind of awesome. But we're here to talk about card games. So first up, I haven't actually touched Magic in a while because a few things. So first, I don't like the direction they took of, like, every set trying to be the ultimate set instead of just going to a place for 3 sets. Because it's like, okay, that's kind of meh. I didn't care for the fact that they deliberately made the Dungeons & Dragons sets weaker because they knew it would sell on brand power. Because they're doing all this cool sounding Phyrexia stuff, but none of it seemed like it was worth reinstalling the app for, and I certainly wasn't going to give them money for it.
Yeah, so, like, one of the YouTubers I watch about Magic the Gathering in particular was talking about how the Phyrexia All Will Be One was the Phyrexian invasion, and then the March of the Machines is like the counterattack and their defeat. And then now they're releasing their March of the Machines Aftermath, which they're quoting as a micro set where they sell 5-card packs for the same price as regular packs.
Boo! Boo! This is somehow worse than sending out the goons.
And that it actually kind of relates to the sending of the goons, because supposedly the guy was buying March of the Machine packs and accidentally got Aftermath packs because it's March of the Machine
Although I do have to say,
Aftermath.
though, a brief disclaimer. So everyone knows Wizards of the Coast are actually the Red Wizards who have shaved their heads and wear crimson robes and are evil. We know this. This is a fact. Why would you possibly live stream opening packs of their new set when you know they will try and kill you? Like, could you imagine if I live streamed opening my new Death Note? Obviously, goons are gonna be sent. Like, they shouldn't have sent goons, but man, did you make yourself goonable. You put your face on the internet with your home address and your IP address for them to hunt you. Come on, survival skills. You want to sell, like, be sneaky. Be sneaky. I don't know, sometimes I think people earn their goonings. Because you know who would know about me getting the set early? No one. Except maybe you. Actually, I'd probably podcast it and then goons would show up.
They would send the goons to my house by accident instead.
I mean, I still want to call the cops on the goons under the grounds that there's a bunch of goons on my yard. And just actually, I kind of just want to see what happens if you're literally hired goons. Because, you see, most people won't call cops. I will call cops, and I just kind of want to know what'll happen if you call cops on goons. Because, like, how does the goon explain, oh, I'm just here to get back this stolen product, with the police not going, isn't that our job? What are you doing? You're clearly goons. Like, I just kind of want to, like, especially with, like, how evil the cops are these days, like, would this just turn into, like, a gag war on my front yard? And then would like two problem solve itself?
A turf war between the cops and the goons.
Like, the cops gotta dislike the goons, right? Like, could you imagine you get your criminology degree and then these Plinkerton assholes just show up?
Well, okay, but so now, do you think that Wizards of the Coast is a comparable evil to the mega corporation that is Disney, who is going to be releasing, or who sniped our
No, you
card
just
game
sniped my
ideas?
segue. Oh.
I sniped your segue.
I was gonna do the Wizards of the Coast. Now let's talk about another evil corporation segue. You got me. I've set it up.
I'm just. Do you think that they're comparable evil for each other?
100%. Disney has a special department of people to make dead bodies disappear from Disneyland under the tunnels.
Oh,
They have an
that does
on-site
sound pretty
crematorium at Disneyland.
Huh.
So,
You gotta hide the evidence.
you see, Wizards of the Coast is being evil, but they're not great at it, right? Or we wouldn't know. You know, like putting secret rules in a game that's the only thing that people have ever read the rules of ever. The only people who actually will read rules to spite each other. Anyway. Now, Disney is a sanitary evil. They're the kind of evil that, like, you have your beautiful above-ground city, and there's clearly the Underdark where people are mining the lithium below your city to fuel your flying city. Like, they're the one who, like, are this fake utopian, but are clearly dystopian type of evil.
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
I mean,
if
like,
Wizards of the Coast
they
is Terran, then Disney is Protoss.
But they do have near infinite money to throw at designing a card game.
Well, here's the thing, though, about the new card game. So I've taken a look at Lorcana, which looks really interesting. But the thing is, they're licensing out to Ravenburger Games, who are not evil. So Disney's like, okay, if we put our hands on this, it'll become tainted because we're we're engulfed in darkness at this point. There's nothing we can really do about it. They are the darkness at this point. We all know this. But, like, Ravensburger's like, we make very nice puzzles and, like, puzzle rings and photos and games. And, like, a lot of the games, like, they did the Villainous board games.
Well, can that make sense why...
Yeah, right? And those were really good.
Villainous board games are adequate.
I'll take it. Villainous isn't a ride or die for me.
I just... it's very unique. And it's definitely interesting. I just found it to be not engaging, like, between different players. Like, each person's just doing their own thing. This isn't a review of Villainous. It's just me personally.
Can be. We got clock.
I prefer to be more engaged with the other players and to not have each player with their own separate objective.
Well, I think my thing why I was impressed by it, interestingly, though, is that it's hard to make a completely novel board game. And Villainous was simple, but new, where a lot of board games just kind of take an existing board game and keep adding bells and whistles to it. So it's like, I understand, it's like, yeah, some more direct interaction would be better. I can see that. But I played something like, I haven't played anything directly like this. No immediate parallel comes to mind. Good job, studio. So I give it some credit for that.
Oh, Ravenburger made Scotland Yard. That's a cool game.
Yeah. But the point is that Disney's like, okay, let's hand these out. But, like, from the way I've seen the mechanics, like, okay, we took Magic, but we did something that no other card games figured out to do in 50 years. We put in 4-player mode.
Right.
Which just blows my mind, where they're like, yeah, with, like, 3 design choices and, like, half a page on the rulebook, not even, we've allowed this to be a game you can play 3 and 4 players. Magic's somehow soul-defining trait is you can actually play a 4-way game. Because no other anime-inspired card game in the last 40 years have thought of that. Pokemon actually had 4-way battles for a while, and didn't have that in their game. Although that died out because I don't know why. Pokemon's weird like that. It's like they keep getting more complex, which makes the barrier to entry more difficult, and then they, like, instead of making it simpler, just add in, like, items to make the barrier of entry less complex, but you still would then need to know all these things still. Where it's like, it's never been easier to IV and EV train a Pokemon, so build your team out of 800 Pokemon, just go watch 30 World Championships. And spend, instead of 2 weeks per Pokemon a day. And I'm like, you really didn't solve the core problem here, though. I still have to spend a day, and there's so many combinations now that there's such a good chance that by the time I build the team, they're useless. Meanwhile, the Pokemon card game is having a massive resurgence, not because of the game, but because of its collectability.
Huh.
Like, Pokemon
that makes
are
sense.
a hot commodity. Like, at one point in the tutor center, every tutor was collecting Pokemon cards, and they're just trading and collecting and collecting and trading, and they were just the new scratch ticket. Which, I mean, yeah, fair.
Well, so, like, the COVID-19 pandemic did cause a lot of older, more nostalgic products to spike up in value as people hoarded and collected them to be able to use them at home and have things to do when they couldn't go out. So, like,
and also, Pokemon tripled down on their art quality, though, as well. Like, the physical cards in Pokemon have never actually looked better, artistically speaking. So, like, they also made them more collectible, because they're like, okay, we made variants, but unlike Wizards, we didn't sell them in premium booster packs that you have to sign off on a blood contract or they'll send SWAT to your house. Yet again, a real thing that happened. Don't sue me, Wizards. If you don't want me talking about your goons on my podcast, don't send goons. But please send goons at me for this podcast. Please let me record you sending goons.
But so, like, you are interested in this Lorcana game then, because it seems to be... Well,
there's a couple things. Like, so when it comes to card games I played lately, tragically, the most played card game of me recently has been Marble Snap on my phone, because neither me or my brother can be bothered to clean off the kitchen table. He ordered a 4-set of, like, Dragon Ball Super Starter decks to play at some point, which, now that summer's here, will probably actually happen.
Right.
Because that was a fun card game. And I find that my favorite way of playing a card game is just some pre-assembled decks and playing it. Because once people start building their own decks, whatever semblance of balance it had is now dead.
Right. That's why I personally collected all of the dual decks from Magic, although Standard is not a popular format, so they don't get played that much, but yeah.
So, like, if I were to actually play Pokemon cards, for example, my ideal version of it would be, like, I'd have nice gym leader sleeves and literally, like, build themed decks based upon, like, all 8 Kanto gym leaders and, like, all 4 Elite Four members with their Pokemon in them, and then you just pick which deck you want to use, and it'd be awesome.
That does sound awesome.
And then it's like, yeah, no, like, in a world where I win the lottery, or even better, everyone listening to this podcast buys both of my books currently on sale. Wow. Now, we're not going to do a plug at the end because I just wove it in so smoothly. I would definitely build an awesome collection of deliberately balanced decks, because I'd have the time in my life and budget to specifically build decks for the sole purpose of fair games. But yeah, when it comes to, like, card games, the Lorcana is interesting for a couple things. First, mechanically, they got rid of phases. On your turn, you draw. Well, I guess there's technically one. There's, like, upkeep, then play. So it's like, untap, draw a card, and then you can play as many cards or tap as many things as you want. Then it's the next person's turn. The only multiplayer rules they needed was first person to get to 20, because when you tap a creature where you would normally attack in a game, you can either attack a tapped creature or gain lore points. When you get to 20 lore points, you win. And a multiplayer game, effects resolve clockwise, and turns play clockwise. It's that simple.
Yeah.
So, that way, playing any number of players, there's no extra rules, you're just good to go, because they accounted for that fact. But also, it's a Disney IP, which means if the game dies, just dies, like one set comes out and then they just declare bankruptcy, those will never fall below a certain value because they're a Mickey Mouse collectible. So the brand has enough power to it that it'll always have some collector value. So it's actually a weirdly safe investment to try the game, because I feel like the odds of being able to flip the starter deck back what you paid for it are pretty good when Mickey Mouse lunchboxes sell for like triple digits.
That is pretty interesting point to make. It's like almost like you're recommending our listeners to invest in this Lorcana game, so it'll.
I mean, it's better than NFTs.
I suppose.
Well, to follow that up a bit, because I am actually going somewhere with the card value meaning something. So card value, post-secondary card market, buy, sell, trade. A lot of the card games that really caught on sold the illusion that you could be a pro player and be able to survive. Basically, your profession is play the game, and through tournament revenue, pro points, card product being bought and sold and traded, you could technically make a living doing the thing. Most of these anime card games don't put the investment into the value of the cards and the value of the game that your collection would maintain anything, which means it'd be harder to actually hit that status quo. So,
right.
For Magic, the reason Magic can literally send a SWAT team to somebody and still sell cards, where if Bleach was told that it sent SWAT teams out at the new Bleach card game if they made one, would not survive the last 3 Wizards of the Coast candles.
Right.
You're just not going to buy a card game where there's a risk of being shot if you buy your packs early. But Magic has that set value because it has the set number of collectors. And because there's like an innate value to the cards, people don't feel as bad buying them initially. And then it's no longer true, it was possible to be a pro Magic player. They've since pulled out on that. Because Disney's
they basically abandoned their pro Magic circuit.
Yeah, because they're evil and suck. So, this Disney game's like, okay, people can tell themselves, oh, it's a Disney thing, it'll probably have resale. But it also means they'll also have a certain set fan base, right? Like, hey, this is a Magic game I can play with my girlfriend, or my mom even, like, because it's, like, brand recognizable enough. That as much as I'm not normally a brand sellout at all, I think because it has that established IP behind it, it will last longer, where a lot of these anime-inspired card games, they either start recycling the barrel so hard you have Super Saiyan 3 Nappa within the first 5 releases of your set, or they just give up and then reboot themselves, and they're not trying to cultivate an existing game, because all they need you is keep buying the next thing. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is an interesting example. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Didn't actually have a ton of value in most of its cards that came out after the first few sets, because what actually gave those value were somewhat gameplay usage, but mostly just nostalgia for the IP. But they ramped up the mechanics and things that all the original cards weren't actually useful, because that wasn't a focus of theirs. So now Blue Eyes White Dragon has been reprinted, rehashed, rehanded out so many times, it means nothing. But part of that is they never had faith Yu-Gi-Oh! Would last long enough to maintain its value.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the source inspiration was so...
I wouldn't have bet on Yu-Gi-Oh! Surviving, are you kidding me? There's no reason you should bet on Duel Monsters being a big thing that catches on. So that's why a lot of those anime card games will go for like a couple years and then reboot themselves. Like, we're on our 3rd Digimon card game.
I didn't even know there was one Digimon card game.
I'm not going to go into the Digimon card games. The new one was almost a well-designed card game, and they put in a single crushing design flaw at the very end for some reason.
Huh.
To give a quick summary of this new Digimon card game, you have your Digimon, and it plays kinda like everything else, a pseudo-magic, right? Instead of mana, you have an energy system where however much energy you spend on your turn, your opponent gets that much energy plus extra on their turn, and it bounces back and forth.
Okay.
It's hard to explain, but there's like a little tracker thing involved. What it has different is, you can either play a creature by paying its mana cost, or you can evolve a creature to a bigger one, and if you evolve them, you get a discount, and you can trip away a card.
Okay.
A lot of creatures that effects on them that kind of like totem pole. Like, if you evolved all the way up, you'd have like plus 20 attack, and trample, and what have you. You had a zone in the middle where you like would hatch an egg, and then you could level things up in the middle, and the guy in the middle couldn't be attacked until you sent him out on the field, so you could build up a cool guy. So far, it sounds like a pretty neat card game, right? And then the monsters are pretty much broken into the usual Magic colors, but Digimon are pretty freaking color coordinated to begin with. Like, oh yeah, the Ice Wolf is blue, and the Fire T-Rex with a machine gun for an arm is red, and the Robot Death Dinosaur is black. Like, really easy to color sort those, just because of their design nature. But here's the mechanic. So, you set aside 8 cards as your life at the start of the game. When you hit someone, you flip over a card from their life. If the card in their life has higher attack power than the thing attacking, it dies.
Oh.
So imagine playing Magic, but every time you make a direct attack on your opponent rolls a d4, and if they get above a 2, your card just dies.
Huh.
And it just kind of was a bafflingly bad design choice. Also, they didn't bother to put in multiplayer because I guess it's just their brain too smooth. Need wrinklier brain. So the card games I played recently, like the Dragon Ball Super one, is actually almost a more refined Magic for a one-on-one game, but the rules have gotten so convoluted that each card has like 3 paragraphs on it now.
Yeah.
And then there's the new One Piece card game, which I kind of want to try out some part just for the fun of it. Which I'm like, okay, they at least have enough characters that it'll take a while before they really have to start repeating characters.
Mm-hmm.
And they did you pick your pirate captain, your deck has to be the same color as your captain. And they're like, yeah, red is like Luffy and pals, and blue is like Marines and stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah, no. You actually have such a comically large cast in One Piece, you can get away with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's a Naruto card game, who knows? Probably called Naruto to Boruto, the trading card game. Meh. And then I tried the Digimon one, like on Tabletop Simulator, but I never got around to buying it, because that one fundamental to game design, even my beloved Patamon's not enough to sell me on a card game with that big of a flaw in it.
Yeah.
And like, all these anime card games just don't have longevity, because I know they'll run for a couple years, and then reboot themselves when they burned up all their characters, because they just don't have that many characters. But worse are the nonsense crossover games where will be like, yeah, this is our Weiss Westford card game that has Fate's Day Night and Code Geass and Bleach and what have you. I'm like, yeah, but like, this whole game's just a gimmick. You forgot to make a game. Because I like when the cards are released and like the flavor matches. Like, if you're gonna give me a 10/10 creature in Magic, you know it's actually like a large T-Rexy type thing that looks like it should be that strong. But when you start crossing things over, it stops making narrative sense. Like when Magic did its Warhammer thing, it's like, so why is the Marine with the machine gun as strong as the Goblin with the slingshot? I don't understand. And the more you do that, the less identity your individual cards feel like they have.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, almost everything's had a card game at this point, too. Like, it wouldn't be the first Marvel card game. It wouldn't be the first DC card game. Although DC is Marvel put out their mobile card game, which is some good ideas, but it's very clearly a mobile game. Apparently DC is working on a new card game, and they actually have enough characters they could probably get away with it, but DC itself will probably be bought or sold before their card game catches on.
You think so? You think DC is in that much peril?
They made 6 movies and then rebooted because they didn't want to connect their movies because The Rock's ego was too big. They're not exactly stable. They've never been stable. They're like, here's an amazing Batman movie, and here's the worst other movie you've ever seen. I guess they're connected? It's like, they're one of those things where it's like, there's very clearly too many people trying to run it, and no one actually running it. But yeah, like, from a design point of view, the Disney card game's exciting. Magic will live forever, because apparently if you can send SWAT after your players, and it doesn't affect your sales, there's a problem. Because they've pushed it so far into like, hey, you can buy a poor person booster pack or a rich person booster pack, that like, I don't know, like, I feel like there needs to be one of those Crimson Blood riots. Like, we need like a Lelouch to Geass their way through Wizards up to Hasbro, climb to the top of the throne, be killed, then peace can happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, the big problem, and I mean, like, I don't want to get all existential, but it's like, capitalism calls for continuous growth, but continuous growth is just never actually sustainable.
And the thing is, Magic, when it was in its strongest phase, it used a different method of growth, which is the problem. So they got attached to Hasbro, which is bleeding out every direction because people don't buy toys. And they're cheap bastards. You know, like, let's just put some NFTs in my things because we can. Those will catch on. Kids like NFTs, right? Let's make an NFT Transformers game.
Yeah.
So because of that, they're like, okay, Wizards of the Coast is like carrying us now. But Wizards was growing with the notion of our infinite growth is we get people to get more players in. And we do that by giving rewards to our current players, basically their strategy for growth was, hey, if we have tournaments give out better prizes the more players that show up, people will tell their friends to come play Magic with them.
Right.
So, like, it was literally, hey, Jeremy wants to go to Spain on a paid trip, and it's directly profitable for him to get to that goal by getting Karl and Aaron into Magic. That is actually sustainable growth until you literally have everyone on Earth playing Magic. It's just slow and steady growth.
Right.
But their new growth is let's just try and print as much money as we can in the form of cardboard. But I'm no specialist on Magic. I fell off the bandwagon. I can still beat you, but like it's been years since I've seriously thought or played Magic.
Yeah, I don't know. I have so many cards. Like I actually, your brother once said it's like, why don't you actually just learn how to play Standard because you've invested so much money into it? It's like between me and my roommate, excluding our unsorted singles, we have like $7,000 worth of Magic cards.
But ironically, that's not actually a lot for Magic.
Yeah, I know. It's not even that much for Magic. Because we don't. I don't think we have any cards. I don't think we have any cards that are like 100 or more. Like we have some that are like 70 or 80, but we don't have any that are like truly crazy expensive.
And the thing is, Magic started moving more and more of its garbage onto its arena. And it's just like there isn't the tournament circuit there used to be. Because apparently the average Magic the Gathering player will spend $1,000 per year. Your average.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Probably. Wow, they made $1 billion and the average player only spends $1,000 a year? Jeez.
Yeah. Math. But to try and put a positive spin on this, I've played a lot of card games in my life. And the Disney one could be fun. But at the end of the day, like, any card game, like, I enjoy sitting down and playing card games. And to give, like, a mini rant, I don't actually like online card games because they deliberately design it that you only get profit from playing strangers and you never get progress in it from playing your friends. And it takes away the motivation to do so. So, like, I've never actually played a friend at Magic Arena, but if you were here, I would play Magic with you. And the more video gamification that happens to these card games, the less the less joy they give me as a card game. So part of why I like the Disney game is it's not launching with a digital client. You could actually just play it.
Right.
And the world's starting to reach a place where I can actually just play cards with people without fearing for my life. So all in all, good year. Woo!
Woohoo!
Little victories. It's no longer an active detriment to my health to play card games with acquaintances. We did it, people. Victory.
Well, I guess the takeaway from this episode, if anything, would be
just have fun and
we
don't
recommend
think too much about your
Lorcana.
card. Well, I can't recommend it till it comes out.
But, yeah, okay, for sure.
For all I know, they'll charge $80 a card.
We're excited for Lorcana, and
No.
want to like
let me wrap this
play
up.
with
You're
people?
ruining it. Let me try.
You're right. Sorry.
All right. Let me try again. It's easy to crucify people's hobbies. It's easy to hate on games, but at the end of the day, a card game is best as a device to spend time with your friends. And you can spend a bunch researching, hating companies, this, that. But don't have shame in buying a couple decks and playing a card game with your friends. So my recommendation to our viewers is, go to a game store, find like some garbage card game you've never heard of, dust covered in the shelf, buy 2 starter decks and play it, because that'll just be as good as your solid gold Magic the Gathering deck. Like, right now, if me and Karl were to just go down to the local store and buy some dust-covered Metabot card game and learn how to play it, you're still in for a good time. Because card games are about the people. And when they pulled the people out of it, then they start sending SWAT teams to your house.
Yeah, you should listen to my more eloquent friend here about having good times with your friends.
I'm sorry I stole your thunder, but I really did not know where your wrap-up was going. Because I don't want to... It's like, we recommended the Mario movie, so you almost felt obligated to recommend a card game. Like, no, I ain't recommending Disney. Pfft, your game could be cool. Could be a good investment. I'm going to try it. You're going to get my money. I ain't recommending Disney to people. I have morals. And it's like, yeah.
I didn't really know where I was going anywhere. Right? You kind of saved me from spiraling out of control.
Oh, it's kind of funny. Like, we're talking about clubs, and we're talking about the club budgets. So... the D&D club got a bump. So we went from $200 a semester to $400 a semester.
Ooh.
So $400 of D&D with an unlimited printing budget meant that we had a pretty nice wrap-up party. Went over to Walmart and dropped $160 on snacks, and we've comfortably fed, like, the 30 people who came to this party.
Ooh.
Right? Because, like, you got your little pastries, bought a meat and cheese platter. We even had to buy our own tongs and paper plates. It was good times. An MTG club would burn through that $200 in a single starter deck.
Ooh.
If you want an MTG club, you'd literally have to, like, go to local card shops and be like, do you have some commons you can donate so we can build little drafting pods? Or you'd, like, have to come with a donation of cards prepared. So, like, I thought about, like, since I can't make another club, I'd have to puppet ruler a club. And it wouldn't be unreasonable for there to be an MTG club. But, like, you would almost need to find a local shop to finance your team. Because, like, there's all the infrastructure at a college to hold an F&M. But you need to, like, actually charge your students, like, everyone tap the Square card, because, like, you have, like, a little tablet at a Square Play. It's like, yeah, you'd have to use the club budget to buy a box of cards, and then have everyone then enter it to then recoup the card. Like, you pretty much have to actually buy them at cost and MSRP your own booster packs to cover the expense of running your Magic Club. Because then it would become it's like every card tournament would be a fundraiser where people are donating $15 to draft and think hope their cards. And you could do it. But it's just like the logistics of just playing a card game are so hard right now. But then all the digital ones are like somehow worse.
Well, like you say, the digital ones are about getting people to spend money to make the best decks, and not necessarily about getting people to actually spend time with each other and enjoy their carefully curated decks against each other.
And I can say with certainty, it's never been more satisfying to play an online card game than an in-person one, like even a bad one. Like, the best form of Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now would be to watch Season 1, build a deck for each character, and then adjust them slightly, and then play them against each other. Like, the best way to possibly play it would be like, I know they did like a kit a while back where it's like, we built Joey, Yugi, and Kaiba's deck from the anime. I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's your Yu-Gi-Oh! Right there. We just pick which one do you want and play. Good stuff.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And yeah, Disney card game's great. And sure, I could open a Lorcana club, but are they going to charge me my entire club budget to let 3 people try this card game? Because you kind of need enough card games for people to try it. And you're not going to tell them to bring their own cards. Because then we know what happens when people bring their own cards to play in a semi-competitive thing. You bleeders bleed out. And the solution's draft, but then draft's like $15 a player, which means your 200 club budget gives you a single draft covered.
That's unfortunate.
Like, your best bet would be to, like, use the, like, cardstock printers and the slicers and do a truly comical amount of proxying. Or when I showed you, like, that one, like, bulk ordering custom board game website, just print your own, like, literally just me and you giving a thumbs up, put it through, like, a Photoshop filter to be, like, brush stroke, and use those as a back for our Magic cards for our club, and just fill it with comical numbers of fake cards until Wizard sends a SWAT team to a college for using their intellectual property without permission to play with their friends with no stakes. How good would that movie be, though?
That would be a good movie.
I really do think they sent a SWAT team after you if you printed off their card fronts on proxy backs and played it in a tournament and literally, like, announced we're just having a proxy tournament because you guys are too greedy. We just made our own trading cards because it's unreasonable for you to charge me $80 for a picture. Especially when they released those, like, $999 packs, which aren't even tournament legal because they were just basically proxies.
Yeah, because they didn't have the proper Magic the Gathering card back.
Yeah, so why don't we just make our own? At some point, we do need to make our own card game, by the way.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just too bad that Lorcana sniped all of our ideas that we were going to discuss.
No. No idea in this world has not already existed. Lorcana beta tested some ideas for us.
Ooh, spicy. I like that.
Right?
I like the optimism.
Well, I was thinking about it. So their big mechanic difference is instead of attacking directly to damage an opponent, when you attack directly, you gain a score. So say we want to play that Dragon Ball Z card game 4-player that way. It's like when you attack them directly, you gain a Dragon Ball. First to 7 Dragon Balls wins. And suddenly you've fused 2 unrelated game engines together. Like if you made a Yu-Gi-Oh game where your objective was to gain life points instead of losing them, that shifts the entire thing. So you can definitely like inspire them. Also, the moment a card game puts in tapped as a mechanic and mana, they're just swiping wizards. So it's like, what's Disney going to do? Sue us from the trademark mechanics they stole from Wizards of the Coast? And what's Wizards of the Coast going to do? Send goons at Disney to have them disappear into the below park crematorium? Also would watch that movie.
The goons trying to break into Disney and getting sent below
Wizards
the
can't
park.
afford good enough goons to deal with Disney? Like, we got asked about John Wick's impossible job. That's what it was. Stealing the prototype back from Disney. Like, you know the scene in John Wick 2 where he, like, snaps his fingers and everyone in the park just stops, weapons drawn? That's any Disney theme park at all times.
That's true. You have no idea what weapons are hiding in those costumes.
Donald Duck.
Oof.
But I digress.
All right.
Card games are fun. But I honestly think I'm more into just playing random things that are in starter decks than I am to collecting a card game at this point.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Like I said at the start of this episode, like I have come to enjoy trying to create commander decks specifically because they're very, very thematic as opposed to just being generic good stuff. I mean, you can build a generic good stuff deck, but like it's way more fun to try like the fight stuff deck where it's like making creatures fight is a relatively weak mechanic in the game, but designing a whole deck around it that actually draws as much benefit as possible from that relatively weak mechanic was a lot of fun to design.
Yeah, and that's the thing is though, like you also have a commander group around equal power level. Where if you're playing with, like... Man, if Tyler's watching this right now, thank you for supporting our series. And I'm sorry. So if you're playing with a Tyler, and your group was a Tyler and a Jeremy, you would either have stopped playing Commander, or started playing competitively viable Commander decks.
Fair enough.
Because the moment one of them goes Soul Ring to Mox to Imprint to Affinity to Raptor to Ravager to Ravager to Ravager to tap the Ravengers, and you've realized they played out their entire hand turn 1, and then did something turn 5 to make infinity tokens that they then sacrifice to do poison counters to kill all 4 of you simultaneously, suddenly you stop having the same kind of fun.
Oh,
it's kind of like when the Min-Maxer builds the Paladin Sorcerer Coffee Lock Smite for 582 damage, one-shots the boss, and then flexes how good they are at D&D. It's like, yeah, but we're not playing the same game.
Yeah, as a random side note, the newest commander decks also came with the plane chase cards, the planar cards.
Yeah.
Which so I had to buy all 5 of them because I was like, I love the plane chase.
Oh, did you decide to? Oh, you. Never mind. Continue. I almost cut you off there.
Well, I love the plane chase variant with the big planar cards that do stuff for every player. So I bought all 5 of the new commander decks, and they are not all equal, that is for sure. But then my fight stuff cards came in, so I put my actual cards in there, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to test them against these other pre-constructed decks. And someone was using a plane that let you tap for double mana.
Yeah.
And so then I managed to get two extra mana out, and by turn 3, I played my Tarask. That cost 9, and it's a 10/10. And it's a 10/10 with trample or with ward 10 and haste as long as he is cast.
Yeah.
And so turn 3, I just played my commander, and it was like they had no hope. It was game over right there.
Oh yeah.
I almost felt bad, except I won, so I felt great.
So Although, to be fair, Tarasking people's fun. Like, when you were running D&D and I just had a Tarask show up and just try and eat your party. That was just a fun session, because you're like, we know what this is. We're gone. We're running, right? Eat one of our party members. If you look back, you're dead too. Keep going.
That is fun. Too bad we never resolved the Tarask getting banished to its home plane.
It'll come back later. It's waiting. I've started running games with them again. Never underestimate my patience for a D&D bit. But to wrap things up, random question of the unspecified time era. You know, it'd be funny if people are listening this first time and Lorcana was like a critical flop. Or like we called it so well that they're like, man, we'd be millionaires right now. It was the new crypto. But moving on, our random question. If you could do something mischievous without anyone ever finding out, what would it be?
Ooh. Mischievous without someone ever finding out.
Because, I mean, my lettuce bit was great. So for me, it's like super specific based on the target. Like, for Jeremy, for example, my favorite thing I've done to Jeremy was when I was bringing him coffee over summer and got slightly less sugar each time until he was just drinking sugar-free coffee. So that's my kind of mischievous, is like, just not even pranks really, just like very subtle psychological improvement warfare. Like
psychological improvement warfare.
Like for Cassie for a while, we go for a walk, and whenever we went for a walk to somewhere, I'd make sure to pick up a treat so the brain would associate going for a walk meant you got a snack to cause more frequent walks. Like, that's just who I am as a person. A helpful sociopath.
A helpful sociopath.
So that'd be my answer is, my mischievous things are, I specifically do things without someone finding out so I can then reveal 5 years later they found out. Oh, actually, what I would love to do, though, which is a little above mischievous, though, is I would absolutely love to just kind of like every single student employee in Canada just bump up their wages by $3.
Ah.
And just no one realized it because none of these colleges that even impacted their bottom line.
That would be pretty funny.
And one last mischievous thing. I would love to replace all of the every place that's made me use a paper straw. I want to replace all their plastic cups with paper ones overnight. That's my ultimate vengeance, by the way. Is it angers me that they're literally using the clear plastic cups so you can see that they put ice in it instead of just putting ice in the already perfectly functional waxed paper cups. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna just swap out all your cups with paper. That'll learn you.
Yeah,
that'll learn you good, punk.
I'm definitely not really, like, I don't know what I would want to do that's, like, mischievous.
Ooh, replace every lawn in Canada with chives. So now when you mow your lawn, you get a food source that takes the exact same means to grow. Grass is stupid.
Grass is stupid.
It'd also be funny to replace all the grass in Canada with catnip. Just every house in North America, cat goes out, gets high. That's just what happens now, is when cats go outside, they get high. We don't know why.
Hmm.
Really? Nothing, Miss Garage Door Detector? Like, you gotta got something.
Well, random acts of mischief is like...
Set everyone's Joy-Cons on the planet to motion control mode so they'll drift lazily to the left while playing Mario Kart?
That is a very specific me problem, where I hold my controller very, very steady, but slightly to the left.
Makes you feel better. I have enough evil for both of us.
You do have enough evil for both of us. I just can't think of a broad stroke mischief. It's more like
most of mine were hyper specific.
Well, it's fun to play pranks on specific people, but like victimless crimes are not victimless, and so it's very hard to find a line where you're not like in criminal mischief, you know.
Well, that's why most of my mischief is either helpful mischief or to take down the oppressive regimes. Like, I'd love to just make it that the next printing of their Magic the Gathering set just gets donated to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, so they get caught on TV sending goons to the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
We know where this send. Let's send our goons. And then
and then just like a poorly drawn cardboard sign that says like Karl's Games falls out. It's just Make-A-Wish. I cannot believe they sent goons. It's so funny. Like, a board of people signed off on let's send goons to shake down this person who acquired our cards early. That was your solution. Not a fruit basket, not a phone call. The goons. Like, straight up 60s gangster stuff. They were in the 60s. They were actual 60s gangsters.
I think they got their start in like 1850 is what their website says, I think.
Like, our episode's literally going to be called Lorcana and Goons.
I like it.
Because it's just so funny. Like, everything from the fact that the person broadcast their location on the internet to the fact that they actually might as well have sent ninjas. Like, this is reality we live in. And they handled it the same way Bowser did. We got the Power Star, but the princess is missing. Send the Koopa Troopas was Wizards of the Coast's official legal response.
Well,
no mischief? I stalled for as much time as I could, honest. Alright, I'll pull you up a different random question. Here's a different random question of the week. Have you ever had to scream help? If so, why?
Well, I mean, I guess it's better than a non-answer, such as the last one. But no, I've never felt compelled to scream help.
So, for actually legitimately needing help, there's 3 times where I've screamed help. First is sarcastically whenever Miko's on me.
Mm-hmm.
Second is when I slammed my thumb in the door and I heard the noise. And I'm like, help me, please.
Okay.
And I screamed it, but I screamed it in like that calm uh-oh sound. And I'm trying to think. I injure myself a lot, so there's probably been a few instances to be like, help! Although, this week it was more like, help! Can you please get some Pepto-Bismol? Please? Can you please go the 2 blocks to get some? It would be greatly helpful. Please? Help!
Well, okay. I guess there's always the classic, like the bathroom's out of toilet paper, and you yell someone to help get toilet paper. I've done that a couple times.
I mean, for the amount of time you climb ladders, I'm surprised you've never yelled, help, can someone please pick the ladder back up?
Yeah, no, I've never been trapped on top of any particularly high space with a ladder that fell over or something.
Man, you've lived a pretty good life if you've never had to scream help.
I guess so.
Because, like, there's lots of times I've screamed help for really dumb things. For example, I'm take a step, I lose my balance, I have an ice cap in each hand, I'm screaming help, or else both these drinks are going down with me.
Well, I guess in the workplace, when it's really busy and it's like I can't handle it, like, can someone come help me? And then it's like, but I'm more so like commanding someone to come help me because I'm the boss.
But also you're a furbolg, so it's like, can someone come help you, don't you know? So it's less a scream and more a polite suggestion. You always tried to make yourself sound like you're a hard-ass boss. That's not who you are. Nice try.
I ask people to do things all the time, but I'm not really asking them. I'm more so it's like, this is something that needs to be done. You should do it.
Yeah, but you lack my sass. You'd be like, oh, can someone come help until, please? That'd be great. I'd be like, can someone come help justify me giving you a paycheck, please?
Yeah, that's definitely not me.
I'm going to get Shiv someday. And that's going to be my closing lines of this episode. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I already plugged myself. Buy books, read books, makes me happy. You know what? At this point, if you've managed to make it up to, I don't know, episode 60, 70, I'm not sure where this will fall chronologically. But if you made it this far, and have not bought my book, you want my book, but you just can't afford it, just send me an email and I will just send you the thing. If you've had to hear me
But
advertise
wait,
the book,
do you have an email that they can send it to? Like, is there
yeah,
what? I mean, have you or
it's
do the
attached to
people
the bottom of
listening
this
have it?
project. Yeah, just simply
Oh,
click
yeah,
on the
okay.
link tree, and then it'll be like, enter to win, and there's a little insert your text box, be like, just send me the book already, God. And I probably will.
Yeah, I mean, the
It
more
helps if
people
they
who
call
read
me
the book, the
God.
better.
And that joke I am ending on, and that's a wrap. That was a
Bite.
that was a pretty good double session.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I mean, a little bit of Mario bled in, but quite frankly, Jack Black singing Peaches will never not be iconic. That was his magnum opus. Like, that was what he needed to do to make it into Valhalla.
Hmm.
Although, unfortunately, he better not pull a Jim Carrey and do the second one and then not do the third one. Which is not Jim Carrey's fault, but like.
Hmm.
Mm. But real talk, I did not think the Blue Shell would get so much backstory.
Oh well,
Yeah, you know what I
that
was
was a
really
good
tempted
double
to do?
session.
You know what I was really tempted to do after that movie, though? Make
Hmm.
like a basic tabletop RPG for Mario, which literally is like you get 1 hit point, 2 if you have a power up.
Hmm.
Enjoy your tabletop RPG with like your 4 stats, and one which is going to be like mushroom. That's just the stat. Be good stuff.
Well, I'm actually pretty hungry and got to like clean up and stuff around the house. So
All right, enjoy your carbon
uh,
monoxide poisoning.
I might not use the stove since now I'm worried about getting carbon monoxide poisoning.
Good. I enjoy you being alive. You know how hard it'd be to rope someone to do 70 episodes with me? What episode
Uh,
are we on? I feel like 70 had to be an exaggeration.
well, we have been doing it for more than a year.
52 weeks are in a year.